Today, I'm gonna be showing y'all my personal keyboard and mouse settings when it comes to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So without wasting any more time, we're gonna get straight into it first with our mouse sensitivity. Now, for me, I rock 3 cents, 1000 DPI. So in game, you're gonna wanna go to your mouse sensitivity. I personally rock 3 with 1000 DPI on my mouse. By the way, my mouse is a Logitech G305. It's gonna come in this box. I think by default, this mouse comes with 1000 DPI, and that's why I've always kind of stuck with it. But I've always adjusted my mouse sensitivity, and 3 sensitivity, 1000 DPI for this game personally works for me. This always goes depending on the person, but that's what you're gonna wanna figure out once you do get your mouse, or if you're already on mouse and you wanna kind of change your sensitivity, just sort of like feeling it out, playing it out, and then seeing what works for you personally. But this is my sensitivity. And in the show more, the sensitivity multipliers are all one. I don't really change anything regarding this. Now, this is probably one of the biggest changes you're gonna wanna make on keyboard and mouse. I think this is the biggest change that I'm probably gonna give to y'all. Now, for ADS sensitivity multiplier, I have mine personally at 1. You can change this how you want, but if you go to the store more and expand it, your ADS sensitivity transition timing, this is huge. So basically, this is how fast your sensitivity changes, as if you were going from your hip firing position to your ADS position. But if you have this set on gradual, this basically means whenever you're going from your hip fire position to your fully ADS position, although you're pressing your mouse button to ADS, it doesn't like entirely go ADS. The second you put pressure on your mouse, it's going to be a little bit gradual instead of instantaneous. Like the second you press your mouse, it's not going to always go straight into ADS. So that's why you're going to want to have this on instant. I have noticed the change, the biggest change y'all are going to need to make, especially because the second you like press your ADS button on your mouse, you want it to be instant, so you're always into that ADS timing. So completely recommend having this on instant, 100%. I probably explained that really bad, but I guarantee you change it. Now, these 4 settings, I didn't change at all. ADS sense multiplier, ADS sensitivity type, I didn't change it at all. But if you want to change it, could be my guest, but I don't really touch these at all. Vertical aim access, it's all standard. Third person ADS correction type, I have mine on precision. Again, this is for third person, so if you're a third person player, you could have this as you want. Mouse calibration. Now, I actually haven't personally changed these settings myself, but things like mouse acceleration and mouse smoothing, like that's pretty important. So I'd probably look into this. I probably should have looked into this, but I didn't really change anything, and my gameplay is pretty standard as it is. So if you want to change it, that's completely up to you. I would probably look into it and probably see if there's any keyboard and mouse players on Call of Duty that have certain sensitivities or have certain settings changed regarding this. But for me, I didn't really change anything. Now here we are at my movement settings, and for my crouch, prone, and sprint tactical sprint behavior, I have all of them on toggle. It goes without saying, you basically don't want to be holding down your crouch button or your prone button while you're also trying to like walk around or certain things like that. You kind of want to just press the button once so you can fully focus on your gunplay, and if there's somebody around a corner or stuff like that, you don't want to be having like one button holding down crouch and then another one on ADS and then another one trying to get ready if you're trying to shoot somebody. So I think the biggest thing is that you want to have all these on toggle just so you have more attention basically based on your gunplay. Automatic sprint I have on off. This is just a personal preference. I like to have more control over my player's movement, but a lot of people on controller and even just in general will use automatic tactical sprint. It is definitely a lifesaver for controller players, and it could definitely be the same thing for keyboard and mouse players, but personally I like to have more control over my movement, so I just choose to have this off. Now, tactical sprint behavior I have on single tap sprint. Basically, if you have a normal sprint, if you're doing a normal sprint, basically if whatever button you have for your tactical sprint, you just have to press it once and then you're automatically in your tactical sprint. So I really like this setting. Closed backpack on sprint, I have it on. This is more of a Warzone mechanic. Again, Warzone 2 is not the best, I'm not gonna lie, so this really doesn't matter if you want to play search, or even ranked. Automatic airborne mantle I have on off. Again, I like to have more control over my player's movement. Share, slide, and dive inputs. This was a really big sort of setting back in the beginning of the year, especially with controller players. I like having it personally on independent because I personally, my mind is more so really stuck to my crouch being for my slide and prone being for my dive, especially back in Warzone when we were all slide canceling. You basically knew that your crouch was binded to your slide when we were slide canceling 24/7. So to have it shared is just a little bit weird to me. So I'd like to have this on independent. These are the movement advanced settings. I don't really change this too much. Walk behavior I have on hold, walk speed slow, plunge freely for plunging underwater. I feel like this was definitely a big debate back in the beginning of the year when we were able to like slide cancel and bunny hop, but they removed it because I guess. So yeah, I really don't change any of these settings, but if you want them, here they are. All right, for combat behaviors, aim down sight behavior on hold, change zoom shared input. I have it on sprint tactical, sprint focus. Again, I really didn't change the setting too much, so that's just how you would like it for your personal preference. Equipment behavior on hold, interact behavior on press. So for my keybind, I have it on C, so I would only have to like press certain behaviors or press certain buttons to interact with things around me in my environment. Weapon mount activation, I have it on toggle. Armor plate behavior, again, this is a Warzone mechanic, but you should probably have it on all. For my combat advanced settings, I really don't change it, but here they all are. So depleted ammo, switch on ammo, whatever. So these are just all the combat advanced settings. I don't know. These are my vehicle behaviors, again, a Warzone mechanic. So if you want that, here you go. Overlays behavior, I'm pretty sure I don't really change this at all. Danger ping behavior, I have mine on double tap. I personally like having double tap for my ping whenever it comes down to the enemy, and then this is just the other ones as well. Now, a lot of people have recently been asking me about my keybinds in specific. I really don't know why. I've always thought that was, again, personal preference, but I'm gonna get y'all started with this. So moving forward, WSAD goes without saying, this is probably the standard when it comes to like all keyboard and mouse games. For interact, like I mentioned earlier, I have mine on C. Again, that's just because whenever I'm playing on my keyboard, whenever I have my right finger or my index finger on the D key, it's just a quick little going down to C. For jump, stand, and mantle, I have mine on spacebar. Prone, I have mine on F. Again, whenever I'm on my D key for my keyboard and mouse, it's just a little click to the right. Just so you want to make sure whatever mechanics you know you're going to be doing consistently, you would prefer it to be as close to you as possible, so you don't have to like stretch your finger all the way across your keyboard. But again, if you like doing that, then be my guest 100%. This isn't to convince y'all that, you know, whatever keyboard keybinds or whatever settings you have are completely important or just not important or wrong or anything. So that's probably the biggest thing I can tell you. Make sure that you have it to what you're comfortable with. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. Change stance and slide, I don't have keybind for me. Again, crouch and slide, I have mine on caps, and you could probably see I don't have a keybind for my sprint / tactical sprint, but that's if we go to our movement advanced settings. So for me personally, I always felt like sprint was sort of useless ever since the sort of, especially when we got to the slide canceling era, because everybody sort of knew like, hey, you have to tactical sprint to slide cancel. So I've always been trained, or my mind's always been trained, be constantly tac sprinting. I realized, especially halfway through when I started playing like the normal Warzone, the first Warzone, was that once you're tactical sprinting and it runs out, you're basically, I mean, back in the day, you just slide cancel and you basically were able to get it back. But also, once your tactical sprint runs out, especially on this game, you're gonna default to a normal sprint. So basically, I just decided to unbind my sprint button, and I have my tactical sprint on my mouse button. So basically what I do, I press one of these side buttons on my mouse, and it's basically my first one. That's how I tactical sprint. And basically when my tactical sprint ends, I usually try to reset my tac sprint by doing a melee, or even if I'm not doing a melee right away, I'm normal sprinting regardless. So that's probably a piece of advice that I have, is that you want to sort of prioritize having your tactical sprint, because if your tactical sprint runs out, you can either reset it, or if you're not resetting it, you're already in a normal sprint and it's gonna reset by itself. So fire and aim down sight, it's the 2 mouse buttons, that goes without saying. Reload, I have on R. For next weapon, so I like to YY a lot, and a lot of people have been getting on my case about it. I just watch a lot of pros and movement players, so that's why I've been YYing, especially when I started playing Call of Duty. So for me, I have my next weapon on scroll wheel down. Weapon mount, I have on my other mouse button, so there's 2 mouse buttons on the side. I really don't use weapon mount too much, but if I needed to, then I have it on my mouse button. Melee, I have on X. Again, whenever I'm on my D key, with C and X being next to each other, I could just have a quick melee. For lethal equipment, now this is basically C4s, grenades. I have mine on my scroll wheel, so basically I'll press down on my scroll wheel, and then that's how I throw a nade. So I'll kind of let it cook for a little bit, throw it up in the air. Tactical equipment, this can be stuns, smokes, what else is there? What is there? The syringe? I don't know what it's called. I have that on E, so basically I run my stuns on E. For my field upgrade, I have on Q, so if I ever want to run Deady, I'd sort of just take my this finger, which is usually on caps lock, to slide. I usually just sort of pick it up and put it on Q, and then I'm activating my Deady so I can run around the map. Now, armor plate for my Warzone players, I have this unbinded, but basically I would have tab on it, but because I'm not really playing Warzone too much, I have tab on my scoreboard whenever I'm like playing SND or I want to see how many kills I have. But basically for this, I would normally have my left tab button. These are my combat advanced keybinds. Again, I really don't touch this too much, maybe the change zoom, but I'm just gonna go through them real quick. These are just all of them. I guess kill streaks. Yeah, kill streaks I have on 3, 4, and 5. I personally don't like having to take any of like these fingers that are on my left side and trying to press 1 or 2. So I have my first one on 3, 4, and 5, so I can take my middle finger and quickly activate a streak by pressing up 3 or pressing up 4 or pressing up 5. These are my overlay keybinds. These really don't matter too much. The biggest two things that you probably want on here, I mean, maybe scoreboard so you can see how you're doing in game, or ping. So I have my ping on Z. That's just a personal preference. All right, those are all the settings I use for my keyboard and mouse on MW2. If you liked anything, please like the video and subscribe to the channel with bell notifications on so you never miss another video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.